Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're the Owatonna School Board. It's Tuesday, it's the 27th of May, 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Tim is going to give us an update on our attendance.
All present.
Let's start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up tonight, a quick change. Because we're here and because we have a different microphone than we are typically accustomed to, you got to speak right into the microphone. No leaning back. Once you start talking, don't lean back. Stay close to the microphone. The second thing is I need to make an amendment to our agenda tonight. So if you've got your agenda handy, under item 8, consent agenda, there are 4 items there. Item D, employee agreement. I'll have you strike that from the consent agenda. And then if you'll go to the end, right after item 9, letter E, gifts to the district, there will be a new item 10. Item 10 will be a closed session. And then item 11 will be an open session with one action item. And 11A would be entitled Employee Agreement. Then item 12 would be adjournment. With that as the amendments, I will ask for an approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 4 tonight is our mission moment. Mr. Elstad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, it's my privilege tonight to introduce to you some of our students and a staff person that are here from our Unified Physical Education class. So I'm going to ask our students, I know Amanda's here, one of our instructors, if they could come forward, please, here by the front table. I know not all were able to be present tonight, but I want to recognize the students that are present. So when I say your name, if you could just kind of raise your hands so we know who you are. So we have Leah Lechner, who's in 9th grade. Mac Dickerson, who's in 8th grade. Sophie Burrow, who's in 7th grade. And Amanda Flores, who's one of our teachers for Unified PE. Unified PE is an emerging program for schools across the nation. It brings general and special education students together for sports and group activities. Co-teachers Amanda Flores and Heather Elfring launched a class at Owatonna Middle School in 2023. The program is set to expand to the high school next year. Our Unified PE students who are here tonight had an unforgettable experience at the Special Olympics Unified Day at the Capitol on March 21st. They heard inspiring messages from Unified student speakers, the Assistant Commissioner of Education and First Lady Gwen Walz. Afterward, they had an opportunity to meet with senators and share their perspectives about the importance of inclusion in school. As a former special education teacher, this is a really cool thing, to just have those generalized opportunities where students can be together to really promote the inclusive environment that we're looking for students of all ability levels. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board if you have any questions.
Do you want to give us a highlight? You want to give us the board and you may want to have a seat at the table so you have the benefit of the microphone, but give us a better idea of just exactly what you folks are doing.
What did we do that day?
It's up.
I like kind of like seeing like all the people who like represented the unified programs. Like they talked about how like they have been impacted by it.
Yeah, I think listening to all the different people that were talking that day was really fun and really cool. And getting to listen to Gwen Walz talk was really
going to Chipotle. We like Chipotle.
Yeah.
You were okay with that too, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Board members, any other questions?
No, go
With
ahead.
the program transferring over to the high school, are you guys excited to maybe continue participation there or move on to kind of other programs?
It's really exciting and it's a really cool program. And I think getting it at the high school will be really beneficial for lots of kids.
I'm wondering, could one of you just give us an example of the last activity maybe you really enjoyed and how you interacted with students with different needs, and just tell us, I don't know, pick a sport, pick an activity.
Well, the last thing I did was I did Best Buddies at the high school, and we did our last, we do it at Compass, and we did a kickball tournament, and we had root beer floats.
Okay.
So that was really fun.
Nice.
We recently went fishing with our Unified PE class, and I thought that was kind of fun, even though I don't really love fishing. It was kind of fun to see everyone fish.
Where'd you go?
Just to Morehouse.
No, again, I think, again, and I appreciate Ms. Flores, kind of what you brought, because it takes leadership to bring these things forward, and coordination, obviously. But I just appreciate, from a staff perspective, the special education staff and general ed staff that have come together to really offer this opportunity. I would love to see more opportunities like this to be inclusive, to make sure that all students of all abilities just have that exposure and opportunity to be with one another. So.
At the Capitol, we heard Buffalo High School has a unified music program, and they sang the national anthem that day. So that was cool for me to see. I was excited to see how it can grow.
Well, we just added a number 2 to our list then,
Yep.
didn't we? Great, thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thanks. Item 5 tonight is public forum. It's a good opportunity for me to remind everyone of the importance of meeting decorum. We do not allow slander, defamation, profanity, personal attacks, or revelations of private data, and as chair, I respectfully request that the public refrain from interrupting speakers during public forum. You'll be provided 3 minutes. Asked to state your name and the subject you wish to address. We have 2 cards. Tina Schaefer, if you would come on up, please. Ms. Schaefer. Welcome. Come on up, have a seat at the table. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
My name is Tina Schaefer, resident of Owatonna School District, and I thank you for allowing me to come and speak tonight. I'm addressing my concerns about the MSHSL stance on condoning boys and girls sports. As I speak, I'm going to use the words biological boy, male, and I'm referring to persons with the XY chromosome. Biological female, girl, woman, referring to people with XX chromosomes. The National Institute of Health says boys, XY, have a competitive advantage over girls, XX, in physical contests. By allowing biological boys to compete in girls' sports, this is endangering our girls. It is endangering them by possibly life-changing injuries. And it is endangering them in their emotional stress in competing against boys. Women have fought for many years to be allowed to have women's sports, women's records, and women's scholarships. By allowing males in women's sports, those records, scholarships, will inevitably be taken by biological males. How is this protecting our girls at our girls' sports? There have already been headlines of life-changing injuries that have happened to girls, with lawsuits over it. There are already headlines of records being taken by males, and girls missing out on competing in state championships because a male took the spot. This is not fair to those girls who have worked so hard. The girls' sports playing field used to be equal. It's not equal anymore. Then there's the issue of locker room and bathrooms. The league's own constitutional bylaw 209.00 definition 1A states, if a male enters a female-only area, such as a locker room, bathroom, it is sexual harassment. If a biological male is now granted the request to enter the designated female-only area, This biological female and her parents can file a complaint and potentially bring a lawsuit against the school. This bylaw is there to protect our girls, but now is in direct conflict of this boys and girls sports. Where will they change? Where will they be changing? In a shower, in a bathroom? What's being set up to protect the girls? It is the responsibility of the school board to protect its students. Who is protecting the girls and the future of girls' sports? When is it time to draw the line in the sand and tell MSHL, no, you work for us. We will not compromise our girls. So I ask that tonight you vote no in support of our girls and our girls' sports.
Ms. Schaefer, thank you very much. Glad you're here. Appreciate you hearing your thoughts. We have another card from Sandy Hardy Hagan. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me be here and speak. I didn't realize it was a 3 minutes, so you're going to get a short version. I'm here to kind of repeat what Tina has thrown up here. And it's a fact. We all know boys and girls are built differently. Boys have more muscles and body mass, which gives them an advantage before they can even compete against anybody. Boys will always have an advantage over girls this way. Plain and simple. Please don't force girls to compete against boys. I would not want to go into a locker room and have some man or the opposite gender come in. It's wrong, I believe, and harmful to boys and girls, physically and emotionally. Passing this possible rule, I don't even know where it stands right now. But it's like allowing, to me, a senior in high school to compete against a 6th grader. It's just not fair and right. Are we really ready and okay with this idea? I personally am not, and I don't think I will ever be. Girls' sports have come a long way since I was in high school, and they've worked hard to get where they are. And I just feel that something like this passing is going to set them back another 50 years or more. By condoning boys to compete against girls and set us back again, like I said, it's not right to me. And I haven't even touched upon the idea of boys and girls locker rooms, but she talked about some of these things. And I want us to encourage and not discourage girls in sports and in the future, because this is a lot to girls. And I'm sure all of you have daughters, nieces, somebody in your family who probably would not go with this if it passes. And I know, and you know, that I speak for many, many others, and I'm not as eloquent as they are right now. I'm not prepared at that much, but I hope that you vote no. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Hardy Hagan, thank you. Item 6 tonight is just simply for general information. It included the enrollment report that was in your packet. Do any of you have questions for Mr. Elstad regarding the enrollment report? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on. Item 7 tonight, these are, again, just discussion items. There's nothing required by the board. Ron, I'm going to start over on your end if we can. For board forum, if you can include anything that you have personally for board forum, as well as any committee report that you would serve on.
Okay. From the Finance Committee, we have a meeting coming up, I think, on Monday, so we'll be working on the things we've talked about. Sorry. We'll be working about things we talked about in that meeting on Monday. So I would just like to take the opportunity, it shouldn't be too close, apparently. I would like to take the opportunity to just spend a little time talking about what we've just heard from a couple of our constituents. And I talked to Mark a little bit about when maybe would be a good time to talk about that. I have had people contact me about this issue that, in the past, week, and I heard it also during my campaign. People talked to me about it. I've spent a lot of time researching and looking into it in the past 48 hours, and I know it's a very emotional issue, and I'm getting emotional myself. And I have a 16-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old daughter in this district. Excuse me. And I think, a lot of people bring up good concerns, and it becomes an emotional issue. And I think we need to learn to separate the emotion from it sometimes. And as a board, it's our responsibility to, be concerned about the needs of all the students in our district. We have over 2,800 students in our district that are participating in activities through the Minnesota State High School League. And there's a lot of good things that the State High School League does. Based on what I looked into and found out, the reason why the policy exists the way it does today is because of a law that was passed in Minnesota called the Minnesota Human Rights Act, which was passed in the state of Minnesota a few years ago. And then there was a case that was heard in the state that went all the way to the Court of Appeals that was brought in the Twin Cities by a student. And that case was heard at the Court of Appeals, and their interpretation was that based on the Minnesota Human Rights Act, that is a law in the state of Minnesota, that that a person can use the locker room based on the identity that the gender that they identify with. And so that law exists and that interpretation exists. So the vote that the action that the board is taking tonight is to renew our participation, which we do annually, in the Minnesota State High School League. And so even if we weren't in the Minnesota High School League, we would have to follow that law. And so I understand, the concerns that people are bringing. I think those are good conversations. I would encourage people really to talk to your local legislatures and to talk, be aware of the people that represent us, because I think those are the people that we can talk to that are going to be able to affect change on this issue, if that's what you were looking for. And I just want to say that I think as a board, we are trying to do what's best for our students, and in this case, being a member of the State High School League is going to provide those opportunities. We have good opportunities. I also found out, and I wasn't even aware of this, that the Minnesota State High School League is one of the few leagues that has a policy called Coaching Her, that's specifically addressed at what are the best ways to coach young women, and as far as giving them confidence in their abilities, confidence in their bodies, confidence in their actions, and how they compete. And so there are positive aspects to this as well as that we can find in the State High School League. And so, like I said, I think the efforts, if you have those concerns, should be directed towards the legislatures so that they can work to make those changes if that's what you're looking for. So I appreciate people that are willing to come forward and talk, and I'm certainly available. I appreciate the work that the board does, and I'm certainly available to have conversations with anybody that would like to have that conversation. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Anything else? Okay. Andrea?
The facilities team or committee met today, and Jolene, I know, said she would do our report for us, so I'll let her do that.
Thanks. Yeah, we met with a combination of city and chamber, and there's a new name, Owatonna Business Development Center, to talk about a potential partnership with one of our buildings for a project that they want to kind of pilot here and kick off the ground. And so facilities will continue that conversation with time frame to make decisions and bring it to a board level by July or August, correct? Is that the correct time frame? Okay, so yeah, it was very interesting presentation, good questions, good conversation. So, yeah.
Thank you. Lori?
Yeah, Tim, did you want to take it, or do you want me to?
I don't have a preference.
I got it teed up. You add if I miss something.
Okay.
So, again, just as a policy committee report then, we've met at least once since our last meeting. Again, we have a regular cadence of once a month. So you'll see in your packet tonight 5 policies that are ready for first reading. Again, nothing significant particularly here, mostly moving some procedural stuff maybe out of the policy and into more procedural documents, but not really a substantive change to anything that's within those policies. And then likewise, you'll see 2 items in the agenda for approval tonight on second reading. Again, not significant changes, some IRS updates, and that's about it on the policy committee, I believe.
Yeah, I think one of the first readings is going straight through, isn't it, to because we made no changes?
You are correct.
So
you're
if
right.
there's no changes at all, the practice is to just move them right to second reading so we can approve them because they haven't changed.
Fair. Yep, good clarification. Otherwise, that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. I don't have anything to add to Jolene's report regarding facilities, but I would ask if all of you could pull out your calendars and we look ahead to July. We've got a minor conflict with our regularly scheduled date, which would be July 14th. And I'm curious if you could take a peek. Tell me about the week prior, the week of July 7, and your availability that week. And is there a preferred day that would work well for you?
Monday.
Monday?
Monday.
I could do Monday.
Yeah, July 7th works.
I have work commitment.
You have a work commitment.
Out of town.
I'm gone.
Okay, so we have two people going. Are there any other days that week that are open?
I could do Tuesday or Wednesday also that
I
week.
could as well.
I'm okay with Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wednesday's better, but either one.
I'll wait for Tim.
I'm not in town that week.
Okay. Tim, sorry, but if we switch this to Wednesday the 9th, does that work for everybody?
Yes,
It does.
I believe so.
There we go. Wednesday, July 9. Excellent. Sarah will make sure that we get all of that updated on the board calendar as well. Thank you all very much for that. Oh, yeah, that's it. That's all I had for board forum. Tim?
Nothing further?
I think because Ron made some comments on the membership, I will also, at this time, I was going to wait till the vote, but I just wanted to also say thank you for speaking. I think that's important to hear from the community. And some thoughts that I'd had, you know, I went onto the bylaws for the Minnesota State High School League, and it's under the 300 block of student eligibility. And there is quite a process for a student who identifies as transgender to want to participate in the opposite biological sex. But I just want to recognize that Minnesota is, I think, very muddy waters right now between, if we're looking at federal executive orders and Minnesota statutes and the Minnesota Human Rights Act. And just last week, I saw a news article about an organization that is suing the Minnesota State High School League because they believe it does violate Title IX, and I would agree with that. So I want to recognize that Minnesota is in a really unique situation. I also want to recognize that Minnesota State High School League is the only organization in Minnesota that allows for that competitive activity in athletics and the arts, and I do think that is really important for our students. Last year, after we did this vote, I did discuss with our activities director, and at that point we had no students that had asked about participating in a sport opposite of their biological sex. There is, as I printed out the process, the appeal process for students to go, transgender students to go through that. It's quite lengthy, but I did realize that the whole process is suggested, it's not required. And so even though it's not taken lightly and it's not without some effort, none of this is required. So I would just like to encourage the board to consider a formal process or policy that would help include families, students, coaches, in some way to find protection for our girls specifically. Just like we wouldn't have 6th graders play football with 12th graders because that would be dangerous physically. So I think there's something that we can do to protect students. And so just as a heads up, based on principle only, I am going to vote no on this because I know it's going to pass. I do think it's very important for our students to participate in this, or to be able to participate in athletics and arts. So it's really more just on principle that I don't agree with allowing biological boys to participate with girls in sports. So that's that.
Anything else, Elizabeth?
No.
Okay. Ayub?
Thank you. For board forum, just wanted to bring to the board's attention that we have sections track and field this Thursday and Saturday. We've officially made it past the testing season, which is amazing for the student body. And we're nearing the end of the school year. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of have some comments about Erin, if that's okay with the board. I met Erin my freshman year of mock trial, and you've definitely left a lasting impact. Your attentiveness, dedication, and just ability to advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves is second to none. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck with your future. Hopefully we can stay in touch.
Thank you, AU. For my things, the Owatonna Marching Band just participated in the Memorial Day Parade on just yesterday, and that was fantastic. And then we have a speech banquet taking place tomorrow. And then, as Ayub said, advocating for those who can't advocate for themselves. I spent 2 years being president of the Gender Sexuality Alliance within Owatonna High School. So the MSHSL is something very near and dear to me, and I understand that we do not currently have any OHS students who are trying to participate as members of the opposite sex. But I will state that acceptance and inclusion saves lives. And that's just something I want to throw out there. On the subject of my participation on the school board, I cannot thank you all enough. Learning more about the government was what I came on here to do, as well as advocate for others. And I have done nothing but that. And that's what I want to go into. And so being able to do that, this has been like my career pathway. It's taught me how small conversations and changes can make big differences. And giving value to student voice and youth is something this board obviously values, and I hope continues to grow stronger even as I graduate. So thank you.
Erin Baker, I've known for her entire life. She sat on my lap one day when I was at the Baker house having breakfast. She grabbed my pancake off of my plate and ate it. And then just 2 years ago, she interviewed. And I think Mr. Elstad's hair was blown right straight back when Erin finished her interview. And it wasn't a question of if Erin was the right person. Erin was the right person, but we kind of looked at each other like, holy cow, this is a young lady who's going places. And you've certainly done every bit of that, Erin. Incredibly proud of you. I really do wish that you would have spent all of your dad's money going to school in Spain instead of deciding to do what you're going to do, but I would have enjoyed watching him write that check for you to go to Spain, to go to college. Board members, anything you'd like to add for Erin tonight?
Just thank you for everything that you've done, and it's, I mean, me as a new board member, it's just encouraging to see students that are willing to be involved, to share things, and it really give us help us ground our perspective and why we're here for the students.
Yeah, Erin, you have always brought a depth of conversation and insight. You don't think lightly. You think deeply, so I'm really grateful for that.
Super excited to see this next chapter, Erin. Super excited. Yeah.
I've enjoyed sitting next to you, having chats.
I guess I could say I've heard about everything you've done since you were born, because I had your father next to me at work most of the time. But we've had a lot of student reps on the school board since I started serving, and you've set the bar at a new level, so Ayub's going to have a hard time achieving that, but it's been a great pleasure to have you on the board with us.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, congrats, Erin.
Thank you.
With that, we've kind of breezed through item 1, which would be this committee reports. Do any of you have any questions or comments relative to the work session that we just had? And it's already been addressed, but Lori brought up the first reading on some of these policy revisions. Anybody have any questions or thoughts on anything else in this section? Hearing none. Okay, we're going to keep going here. Item B would be the administrative report. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the school year, so I think as of today, I think we officially, for our seniors, for Erin, I think with the countdown is down to about 4 days now, I think, if I'm right, 4 or 5. 5 days?
Five.
Okay. For the rest of our students, we have 8 days left of school. And so things are wrapping up, all those end of year kind of things. One of the things I'm reminded by is that we're one of the only vocations in the world that has a clear beginning and end. Most vocations just kind of continue to kind of keep rolling forward. And so there's something special about that. And I always appreciate, I get to be the last person they see when they get their diplomas on the stage and shake their hand. I'm looking forward to that moment. But anyway, excited for the end of the school year, excited for those new happenings for our students, and excited for new leadership that will take over here. And by the way, on July 9th, Mark, I will not be at the school board meeting, just so that you're aware of that.
Duly noted.
The big ticket right now is the legislature. Everything, all of the advocacy is done. Now it's a matter of the committees coming together. The joint committees have been formed. There's different movement with this every single day. It was suggested that maybe earlier this week, like today or tomorrow, there would be a special session to approve the budget. Just so that you remember, by June 30th, they have to have a budget in place, or everyone doesn't have a contract after that. So again, we're awaiting the special session. I heard today, late in the day, that could be Friday or even Monday to get these things settled. There have been a couple smaller bills that have been passed and signed by the governor already, but we're awaiting the big E12 budget because that means something to us. And so, facing a deficit, I know that there will be an allotment for what was statutorily approved before with the increase with student average daily membership dollars coming in, but more than that would be probably out of the question at this point. So again, we're waiting for that. The other part that's a little frustrating for us, and that my colleague Mark Statz, who is the Director of Finance, the longer we wait, the more speculation there is about a budget moving forward, because after July 1st, we don't have a budget. And so everything you're hearing from a finance perspective is all up in the air based upon what the legislature decides. So again, we're awaiting that word. Once we do, there'll be quick calculations. He and I will be sorting through a lot. We'll probably come back sometime in June, hopefully, with a better picture, particularly on the financial side. So that's that. Lastly, Aaron, whatever Mr. Sebring just said was absolutely correct. We were blown away by you and what you bring. You are insightful, humorous, and I love your humor, sense of humor, planful and prepared. I don't think there was a meeting that you missed that I didn't get a text message that said, Mr. Elstead, I will not be at the meeting tonight because I've got this activity going on. It was always for one of the 3,000 activities that you're part of. But you always made an effort to get here for even a portion of the meeting, and that means a lot. Commitment. You committed to this. You followed through on your commitment. So we're going to miss you around here. And I wish you the best as you travel into that next journey, whatever that is. And I hope at some point along the way you'll remember an old retired guy that will be living here that just wants to hear about how you're doing. So congratulations, Aaron. We're very proud of you. And as Mr. Jensen indicated, you've set the bar for student leadership. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8 tonight would be the consent agenda. A quick reminder, we are approving the minutes from April 28th, the disbursement, and the personnel reports. Any of you have any reason that we would pull any of these items out? Okay, hearing none.
Mark, I don't need to pull it out. I do have a question on one. Do you want that now? Or you want me to pull that out?
Well, let's hear your question.
I approached Mr. Elston. I don't know if we've had a chance. So there was, in review of the disbursement report, there was just one payment that I wanted to confirm. We understood what that payment was for. I think the vendor was CDW something or other, and I couldn't tell exactly what that was for. I don't know if Mark is familiar with it. Do you remember that?
I would turn to Mr. Stotts to see.
Do you know the one I'm thinking of, Mark?
No, not on top of my head.
Okay. And again, I'm not concerned. I have every confidence. It's all in order. I just try to review those and make sure, you know, that we have a, so maybe we can.
How do you spell it?
CDW government. The only thing I can think of, and again, we can certainly go into more detail
sure.
with that particular item. I have seen this on previous agendas, but the other thing is sometimes there are some charges for government document
For sure.
procurement. And that was the only thing I was thinking.
Yeah, and make no bones. I mean, most of the payments, you know, they're always taxes and pension and payroll. I
Yep.
mean, the standard. It was just a vendor I wasn't familiar with and didn't have, it wasn't clear, you know, a lot of times food payments and so on, so.
I would speculate it's Computer Discount Warehouse.
Are you
Mhm.
okay.
Technology purchase.
And that would make
That would
sense.
be
There you
my-
go.
And it was, again, it was a little more sizable, so it caught my attention.
Probably for technology.
Yep, I appreciate that. Thanks, Tim, for your insight.
Thank you.
That was my question.
Good.
Thank you.
Get the clarity you
Yep,
were
I
searching
did.
for? Good. Okay, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Tim, if you would, this is a roll call vote.
Yes. Ron?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
And I am an aye, 7-0.
The motion carries. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to item 9. There are a couple of items that need board action. Item A, Mr. Schultz is here, new student school board representative. He has to be just nervous walking up here tonight, doesn't he, Mr. Elstad, if you would?
He does. Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the Board. Lowell, if you'd please come and have a seat up at the table up here. As we just got done celebrating Erin and kind of the leadership that she has brought, the interview committee that interviewed an outstanding slate of candidates have selected Lowell Schultz to be the new student school board representative. Lowell's currently a sophomore for about 8 more days. And then he'll become a junior, and has been the process for the board. And as Ayub came on last year, he came on as an incoming junior. You serve a 2-year term, just to kind of get the lay of the land, and by the time you get to be a senior, you kind of got it figured out how it works. But anyway, we're happy that Lowell is here with us. He is an outstanding student with many activities. That's how we want our student representatives to truly represent the student body in the Owatonna Public Schools. And so tonight, as part of this, you are being introduced to Lowell as we see the departure of Erin. And so he will be officially seated with the board in August. But I wanted to introduce you tonight, Lowell, to our board. Thank you for taking the risk of leadership, because there is risk. There's great reward as well. But the risk of leadership is something that I admire in our students that step forward to say, I want to provide that leadership opportunity, recognizing that sometimes there's a price to pay with that.
Yes.
So thank you for doing that. Is there anything, Lowell, you would like to add before board members might ask a few questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, very good. Board.
Lowell, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
So a little bit about myself. As I look at the school year coming to an end, as Ayub said, we do have the section track meet tomorrow, or not tomorrow, on Thursday and Saturday. So I came from practice today. I compete on Thursday. I'll probably go and watch my sisters running on Saturday, I believe. And then the other big thing I have coming up is the graduation concert on Friday. So the concert choir is having a concert at St. John's for graduating seniors. And so those are the big ticket things for me as the school comes to an end, along with I got finals. I got a paper, I think, in English. But
What other activities, Lowell, are you involved in?
So I said track. I'm in choir and band. I was in carolers. I was in the musical. I'm in concert choir. I'm also part of the student council. I'm part of DECA. I'm in 4-H. I'm in Boy Scouts. And I also just completed my interview process to be on Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Is there 25 hours in your daily schedule?
Yes.
Yeah.
No sleep either.
Board members, any other questions?
Excited that you're with us.
Thank you.
What intrigued you about being on the school board?
So I first heard about this position from Ayub, actually. I've known Ayub, I think, in 8th grade. I started cross country when I was in 8th grade. He was a freshman, and we were both new to running, so we were kind of in the back of the pack. My favorite memory with Ayub is, well, first, since I went to St. Mary's, I would go straight to practice with the high schoolers as a middle schooler instead of going with the middle schoolers. And there was one practice where we ran from here, the old high school, to Manthe Park, and then we did 1K repeats there, and then we ran back. And I think Ayub remembers, he was new, I was new. By the time we finished our repeats, we were absolutely gassed. And we didn't get a bus ride back to the middle school like the rest of the middle school. We had to run all the way back to high school. And we must have been going like 11-minute pace, because by the time we got back, everybody was already inside. They were all like, they were all ready, they'd already stretched, and we were just jogging back, and our coach was waiting for us. So that's really how I met IU. But he told me about the position, and then I got the email, and I'm like, that's really interesting. Government has interested me. The speaking and kind of just the whole process of it is something that I think is very important, even if you don't go into government. And I think that even people who just want to have a future in business or even a future in something completely unrelated like agriculture, it's something they can really benefit just from that procedural meeting.
Before you take official action, I do need to recognize our students, whether it's Aaron or Lowell. This commitment comes from great parenting as well. And I want to recognize the parents. First of all, I want to thank Rod and Amy Baker that are here tonight to support Aaron. And then I want to also thank Grant and Julie Schultz that are here tonight because it takes commitment from you as well. But when I look at these kids, I look to the parents and say, well done. Well done. You're still baking for a while yet, as is Aaron. We'll call it so far so good. No, I'm just kidding. Well done. Well done. Thank you.
Again, Lowell, welcome. Anybody else? Anything? Good. Would one of you please have that motion queued up and ready to go?
I move that Lowell Schultz be appointed as a student school board representative.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Lowell, congratulations.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you. Item B tonight is the school calendar. It's the 24-25 school calendar. It's something we always approve at this point in the calendar year. Mr. Elstad, if you would, please.
Yeah, the calendar that you see is we're asking for one final amendment to the calendar for this year to adjust for the snow days that occurred. And so what you have tonight proposed is just, again, it's a revised calendar which is required by the Department of Education if the board formally approve the year that was, if you will, recognizing those small changes because of snow days and inclement weather.
Questions? One of you have this queued up for us, please.
I move. Go ahead.
I move that the board approve the final 2024-2025 school calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item C would be policy revisions. Lori touched on it earlier, and members of the policy committee, if there's anything that you would like to lift up or at least remind us of as it relates to these policies that we're going to be talking about.
Again, there are just the two. One has an IRS mileage update, and then the item that Tim referred to with no changes.
In light of that, would one of you please introduce this motion for us?
I move that the board approve the revision to policy 412 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item D would be the Minnesota State High School League membership. Mr. Elstad, if you would.
This is something that's been lifted up previously in the meeting. This is an annual renewal of the membership, and I just want to highlight a couple of things. As Mr. Kubicek indicated, we have over 2,800 students that participate in these athletics and activities. Without membership to the Minnesota State High School League, these students would not be able to participate in any contests. So that would mean no games, no music contests, no art contests, all of those things, because part of the membership entails being part of that. Recognizing that not everyone agrees with every single policy that's in place. I think what Ms. Hedlund lifted up is probably action-oriented, as did Mr. Kubicek, that what the State High School League is doing is following state law as part of the Human Rights Act. And within that, I would recommend that at least within the state law, there are changes. If people are proposing change, that's why Representative Tom Sexton and Senator John Jasinski, represent us. And so if there are comments, because I would tell you the only way to enact this sort of legal change comes through the legislative action. The legislature also they have a direct link to the Minnesota State High School League because part of their funding is appropriated by the state, and that is funded through the budget that the Minnesota State Legislature puts together. So what's being recommended tonight, agree or disagree with every one of the policies, what's being recommended tonight is what's best for the 2,800 students that participate in the Minnesota State High School League activities, and so I recommend that the board consider approval of this item.
With that, Tim, do you have it queued up?
I do. I move that the board approve the 2025-2026 resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yeah, I guess the only other additional comment or issue that I would raise is, certainly from my profession, but it doesn't take long, you just have to listen to the news, right? The posture currently is that if we don't move forward on this and approve this, we are setting up our district and our school board for a host, I'm afraid, of legal challenge and concern, not to mention expense, time, and notoriety that is really not in our district's best interest. I also have a heart for all students and appreciate Erin's comments. I appreciate emotional, but the fact is we don't have, the issue is not ripe, as I might say in my profession. It's not ripe. It's not a concern today, but clearly we have to create opportunity and activity for the 2,800 students that we do serve, so.
And further discussion.
For sure.
I would agree with that.
And appreciate, all of the discussion, because, more to come for sure. But today,
For sure.
it's perfectly clear to me where we need to go.
I'm good. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion, we have a second. Tim, if you would, please. Roll call vote.
We'll go. Ron?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Nay.
And I am an aye. 6-1 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item E tonight would be gifts to the district. Again, Mr. Elstad, if you would.
There are a whole list of gifts to the district here as we kind of wrap up some of the school year. A number of them are supporting the National Honor Society Color Run that occurred here not too long ago. But again, just various gifts. It's a community that continues to give, and whether the gift is for a few dollars or a few hundred or sometimes a few thousand, this community sees the need and they rise to the occasion. So I'm grateful for a giving community and ask that you consider approval of these gifts this evening.
Do you have a motion?
Sure. I move that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Tim, if you would, please.
Ron?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
And I am an aye. 7-0 pass.
That motion carries. Item 10 tonight is a closed session. And under the Minnesota Open Meeting Law, Minnesota Statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3B authorizes the school board to close a meeting with its attorney in a confidential setting to obtain legal advice regarding pending or threatened litigation. The particular matter we are to meet on relates to allegations against the school district in an employment made in a notice of claim. At this time, I will call a vote to close the meeting on the grounds I have just stated. So I am introducing a motion to go to closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. So at this point, we will clear the room. The recording devices would be turned off. I can't tell you I know exactly how long that will be closed, but we will reopen back to an open session again. The public, thank you for your patience. At this time, it is 6:46, and I will make the motion that we reopen the open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Then under item 11, point A, I move that the board approve the employee agreement as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And item 12 tonight would be to adjourn. I will make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you all for your time. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.